Welcome to this video. We will be looking at we'll be learning how to calculate the distance between two coordinate systems on the Cartesian plane, and that will help us calculate the lengths between two points and calculating areas of geometric shapes in the Cartesian plane. So let's look at it. To figure out the distance between any 2 points, it's not difficult to understand that once previously you knew how to use Pythagorean theorem to calculate the hypotenuse of any right-angled triangle. You would just take the perpendicular sides, square each of them, add them together, and then take the square root. So, what is the perpendicular side here? It's the axis is always perpendicular to the x-axis. So the y coordinates, the difference between the y coordinates tells us the height of this triangle, and the difference between the x coordinates tells us the width of this triangle here. Therefore, all we have to do is square the height and add the square of the width to it, and then take the square root. So make note of this equation appearing here. So the distance between any 2 points is given by this formula here. Now, once again, some students say, oh, but what is the order? How do I know which point is the bigger one, which one is the smaller one, and so on? What if I have, let's say, 8 comma 3 here, and all right, let's say we've got just 1 here. Do I need to always subtract the bigger one from the smaller one, or so on? No, it doesn't matter. If we take the difference in y, in fact, this formula, I could have written it with the x's here first and then y's here afterwards. So doesn't matter which order you subtract them from each other and which order you write the x and y's. So I tell you why. Because when you subtract 8 and 1 from each other, you'll have a positive 7 under the square root here. And when you're subtracting 3 and 1, you'll have a 2, positive 2, under the square here, squared. What if we wrote 1 minus 8 and then squared it? Well, minus 7 here squared is the same, will give us the same answer as positive 7 squared. So almost doesn't matter as long as you subtract y's from each other and x's from each other. It does matter. Don't take away x's from y's. This y needs to be subtracted from another y. So I could have started with the 1 and written 1 minus 3 here. So minus 2 here, because of the square bit, because we are squaring both of these differences, it doesn't matter. Here I would have squared 7 and 2 under the square root. Here I would have squared minus 7 and minus 2. Minus 7 square is the same as positive 7 square. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the order doesn't matter. Final answer will be the square root of 49 and 4 is 53. Okay, so that would have been the final answer to either of these problems. Either way of doing it is correct. So let's look at the example here. Here we have 5 comma 7 and 2 comma 3. So just substituting those values into the formula, we'll get square root of 25 is a 5. Okay, so we almost always get given what the unit is. If not, you just write 5 units because you're measuring distance. So here, don't put this on your calculator. Some students say, why is a square root of minus 4 still a minus 16? Well, your calculator doesn't know what you're doing. Your calculator evaluates a square of 4 and then puts a minus sign in front of it. If you want to square minus 4, you have to use brackets on your calculator. So Be careful. This is a common mistake that the students make. They write it like this and then they expect it to work out. This is not gonna work out. You have to use brackets. Okay, so next question here is saying there is a line with this equation and another line 2 with the other equation at intersecting at point A. Figure out the coordinate of A, and in part B, we are to calculate the area of the triangle, work out the area of the triangle AOB, where O is the origin and B is the point where L2 meets the x-axis. So it seems rather like complicated, but it's not. First, figure out part A and figure out the coordinate of intersection point. So rearranging this equation here, we can write it y equals to 4x, okay? And so substitute that into this other equation. So we'll have 2x plus 3 open bracket. Gonna just leave a gap here, write this 21 is a minus 21, but I'm writing it on the other side of the equation. And instead of y, we're substituting 4x. So 2x plus 12x is 14x equals to 21. So the x value of the intersection point is 21 over 14, which is 3 over 2. Now, what's the y coordinate? Y is 4 lots of 3 over 2. So that's 12 over 2, which is a 6. Right? So this is the coordinate of A. Now, we've been told that area of the triangle. So if we build the picture here, I'm going to build a picture for you, having solved the coordinates for A. The picture looks something like so. The gradient, this line y equals to 4x, goes through the origin, and its gradient is going to be a 4. So that's a line like so. My picture drawing isn't perfect. The other line will have a negative gradient. Why? Because we're going to take 3y to the side, or write 3y equals to minus 2x plus 21 divided by 3. We'll have negative 2/3 of x plus 7. So it has a y-intercept of 7 up here, and its gradient is negative 2/3. It's going to go somewhere like that. We need to figure out we know this triangle here. What we just figured out is this coordinate of A here. We figured out A is 3, it has this coordinate here. So we need to figure out what B is. What B is where the line crosses L2 crosses the x-axis. So we what's the value of y at this point here? Value of y is 0 on the x-axis. That's what the question is saying. So substitute y equal to 0 and solve for x for line 2. Okay. So when we substitute y equal to 0 into this equation, we're going to have 2x equals to 21. So x is 21 over 2, which is 10.5. Alright, so we figured out this is 10.5, the x coordinate. Now, what's the area of this triangle? It's not hard to understand. Using the units here, this is 10.5 units. Alright, you don't need to know whether this is measured in meters or centimeters. You're just going to call them units, because the coordinate systems told us is the x value here is 10.5. We're measuring it from 0, okay? This length from 0 to point B. And what's the height of the triangle here? The height, we need to, if you've forgotten the area of triangle, what's the area of triangle? Triangle, so I can spell it, is half of base times height. So base, which we just found, is 10.5 times height, perpendicular height, okay? It has to be perpendicular. So the coordinate of A, the y coordinate of A, The x-coordinate is 3 over 2, but the y-coordinate tells us the height of this line here is 6, right? This point has a y value of 6, so we know the height is 6, the length or the base is 10.5. We multiply them together and divide by 2. That multiplying by half is the same as dividing by 2. Alright, so 6 times a half is a 3, so that's 63 divided by 2. Now 63 divided by 2 is 31 and a half. Alright, so you write square units, okay, units squared after units squared, okay, or you could have just put a small 2 on top of that. Alright, so that's the final answer for this problem.